excited, number one. The real problem with this is the price of the game. The price of the game is outrageous. I feel like day one DLC is unacceptable. I think that if gamers could boycott any one thing, it's day one DLC. I think that whenever you buy the game, you should get everything inside of that box. And the idea that there are things inside of that box that you don't get because they want to paywall them and make you pay for them later, that is, in my opinion, like extremely consumer unfriendly. And that's what makes it the worst game of the year. I don't care about the way the character, who gives a fuck about that? Who cares? Like, if the Fable game is good and the character's ugly, yeah, it's gonna be cringe, but who cares? Like, it's still gonna play the game. What are we talking about here? I don't mind DLC.
Yeah, about that. Generally speaking, yes, having day one DLC is bad, obviously. Now, considering, like, I watch a lot of Asmon's videos, and would this affect the game's, let's say, review? Let's say, like, the game is released, whether it'll be good or bad, who knows, we'll wait and see. But yeah, let's say the game is released and you just give it to someone and they play the game, they finish it, and they have an opinion about the game. Whether it's, let's say, it's great and it's, I don't know, a 9 out of 10, or it's bad and it's, I don't know, a 5 out of 10. Now, then you tell them, oh yeah, they had a day one DLC where there was content in the game, they just cut it out and are selling it as a separate thing, where if you buy it, you wouldn't even have to download anything, you just now have access to it. And then that person would say, well, that sucks. And, you know, they start advocating how that shouldn't happen and blah, 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 like what Asmon was saying. However, the reason why I bring this example up is because to deliver a point of the game, like the person's review of the game wouldn't change necessarily because of this content not being there in the game. And what I'm about to say right now will contradict this statement. Let's say Witcher 3 had the initial expansion pack in the game. Would that increase the value of the game and hence increase the review of the game? Most likely, yes. However, that didn't, let's say, that's not the point here. The point I'm trying to deliver is, let's say Ubisoft, like, this wasn't necessarily part of the main game. And I definitely don't want to necessarily defend Ubisoft on this, but I'm trying to think of it from like the business standpoint. Let's say, yeah, so let's say they finished the development of the game, whatever, then they started developing this extra DLC, or like this extra mission, and they managed to finish it before the launch of the game, but it wasn't like budgeted as part of the main game. So they're like, I mean, the DLC is done, or this mission is done, and, you know, let's just release it on day one. That's a very strong possibility. We will not know if, let's say, this piece of DLC was part of the main game or not until they say so, or upon reviewing the game, where somebody like played the game without knowing this piece of information, then they played the DLC, then they start knowing about the DLC, then playing it. Then perhaps if we got enough people, then we'd know if this felt like it was missing from the game or not, if this was cut from the game or not. An obvious example from what I remember, I didn't play the game. I guess I know I actually played it, but I wasn't that big of a fan at the time. At least maybe I should replay it again. What's it called? Mass Effect 3, or I think it's another game where like the ending was cut and you get the true ending as a DLC or whatever. Yeah, that people felt like, okay, you cut the content out, and it's a fucking ending, the true ending, and you made it as DLC. Okay, that makes sense. But we will not know until Ubisoft themselves say, or we somehow discover that this seems like cut content. We will not know if Day One DLC is a bad idea or not, or not a bad idea. If it's fair or not for them to have Day One DLC. And regarding the comment of, and I'll get to that since you mentioned it, if it's in the box, then we should have access to it. You're right. If the game came out and the content is in the game, like in the game files, and then you just have to pay for it and you just suddenly have access to it, yeah, sure, that sucks and that's bad. And if Ubisoft was smart about this, then what they would do is not include the content in the main purchase of the game. And once you purchase the game, then you start downloading that extra content, so it wouldn't be in the box. Yes, I'm giving ideas to bad corpos. I know. But what I'm trying to bring logic to this. Does they want DLC sucks? Yes, but this is still a business. They have budgeting. They want to make sales. Yada yada. Would it have been better if they just included it in the main game, since it was before release? It would make the customers happy. Sure, they made the wrong decision of communicating this as a Day One DLC. And generally speaking, if they did make content that was like actually done before the release of the game, Ubisoft would have been, they apparently don't. Big brain, but yeah, they don't have that much of a brain. They would have just said, yeah, after the I don't know, after 2 weeks of the game's launch, or a month, or like whatever believable time frame, they'd be like, hey, this is the DLC. It's out now, you can buy it. And then nobody would complain about any of this. But yeah, I guess we'll see when the launch of the game is out, and we'll see if, let's say, if it felt like this is missing content or not. And we'll see if the content files are in the initial purchase of the game. Yeah, we'll see. And regarding the comment about, let's see. Can I get to this?
And that's what makes it the worst game of the year. I don't care about the way the character... Who gives a fuck about that? Who cares? Like, if the Fable game is good and the character's ugly, yeah, it's gonna be cringe, but who cares? Like, it's still gonna play the game.
Yeah, about... So I know like Asmon makes fun of like people, this is what's it called? Sweet Baby Inc. game because there's a woman in the game. And I think he made a point somewhere in this video or some other video where if there's a woman in the game, then it's woke. If it's a black person, then it's woke. No, it's more like, and you did mention where like the industry is kind of now like poisoned because of all of this. And so like everyone's like on edge thinking like, is this woke or not or whatever. It's, well, let me address this point by point. If a character looks ugly in a game or not attractive, let's say, that, and it's a third person game, I see this character, there's a lot of cutscenes, blah 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 blah. Having that's still part of the game, that's still part of the experience. Who cares? Well, people care. It's part of the product. Let's say the music isn't good, okay, that's gonna notch down the review. The graphics don't look good, that's gonna notch down the score of the game. The game is about the gameplay, sure, but it's not in isolation. The animations, the music, the art, the voice acting, the timings of the game, the character looks, the character behavior, the world behavior, the dynamic systems in the game, whether it's included in gameplay or not. Every single part of the game, every aspect of it, would be reviewed by people and would be consumed by people. Who cares? That's not the correct attitude. For I want to play a game where there's a hot chick or a hot dude, a good-looking dude or a good-looking chick. And if that is not the case, I will voice my opinion, saying that, oh, this character looks not attractive or ugly, and that decreased my enjoyment of the game, whether a small bit or a large bit. That depends on it's different from person to person. And yeah, that's so who cares? Everyone cares. This is part of the game. Like, for example, there's a game called, that's not out yet, but I played its beta. Oh, actually, before I mention that, let's say The Last of Us Part 2. If we didn't have to, there's a lot of problems with that game. But let's say the presented the character as a very beautiful individual, and that played into the dynamic of the story, where beautiful people get away with shit or whatever. That could make the game interesting, plus it would give visual eye candy as well. Plus the player would feel conflicted in a sense of, this character sucks, but they look good. So some people wouldn't care about looks and they would just think, oh, this character is bad. But some people would think, oh, this character looks good, so they might have some sympathy for them. That's a human nature for you, what you're gonna do. So what I'm trying to say is, on this specific part, you're wrong. And people who have similar opinions, character appearance, along with any other element within the game, whether it revolves around the gameplay or the art or the music or whatever, is important. Everything is important. Everything that affects my experience playing the game is important to the person and important for the game. So there we go. Hopefully I delivered my thoughts correctly, right? What are your guys' thoughts? If you got thoughts, share it below. Thanks for watching. Where's the button? Mouse.